What was the investment climate like for Filipinos this 2023? And what opportunities await our kababayans in 2024? I discuss these issues and more with Metrobank's Ruben Zamora. Ruben, great to have you with us. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right. Everybody wants to find out, how did Filipinos invest in 2023 and in which investment instruments did they look into?
2023 was a tough year. Tough year because interest rates kept rising, and that's typically bad news for risk assets. Investors this year typically wanted to be, in defensive asset classes. So short-term time deposits, short-term bonds.
Safe haven.
A bit safer. But again, we knew that with interest rates rising because of where inflation was going, we knew that kind of needed to be the case for a lot of investors this year.
Of course, Ruben, over the past few months, in 2023, we've seen inflation tapering off, leveling off.
Yeah.
Are we likely to see then interest rate cuts materializing in 2024?
Yeah, we do. We expect that. Different speeds, though. I think for us here in the Philippines, might be later than a lot of other countries, including developed markets. Why is that? Because inflation here, driven by different dynamics. We know that it's tapering, but it might not taper a bit slower than most other countries. We have El Nino as a factor that might continue keeping food prices elevated. Food is a big part of our inflation basket. But for sure, we think we've seen the end of hikes.
All right, the end of hikes. So what is Metrobank's outlook? When could the first rate cut happen in 2024?
Right. Okay.
Am I putting you in a spot? Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, no,
this will definitely be a
agree.
big boost to the economy.
It'll help. It'll help. And I think the monetary authorities, the BSP, they're well aware of the risks of inflation and particularly inflation expectations, right? Our call is that around mid-year next year, 2024, mid-year next year.
June onwards.
Around June
2024.
We do think that they'll start looking at easing rates maybe as early as March or April.
And of course, growth also did not attain the Bangko Central's target of 6 to 7% because of tighter monetary policy. And if Metrobank will likely see a rate cut from June 2024 onwards, how should Filipino investors invest next year?
Sure. I think, markets tend to be forward-looking.
Yeah.
So if the market starts thinking that by June next year, the central bank, Bangko Central, will start cutting rates, you'll start seeing some juice, some life back into equities. And of course, bond prices behave in the opposite direction as interest rates.
Yeah.
Bond prices go up when interest rates fall. So if with expectations that interest rates will fall, it tends to support bonds.
So will 2024 be a more exciting year for investors in the Philippine stock market compared to 2023?
Yeah, I think so. We do think so. Although, again, we want to see some clarity first on where policy is going. We do think that there are very resilient companies who know how to handle their businesses and manage risks.
And which are these resilient sectors and companies?
Okay. No, again, high interest rates tend to favor the banking sector, and we've seen some of that happen this year. We do think that defensive sectors will continue to be a place where investors will go. Defensive meaning maybe some of the power companies. And again, because if we are going to see growth next year, we are forecasting 6% GDP growth next year, so very constructive. And again, property, again, it continues to be a very structural industry sector for us.
Property is booming. I mean,
Property-
despite higher interest rates. I mean, just take a look at the central business districts here in Metro Manila.
Yeah.
They just go from strength to strength.
Yeah, no, it keeps going. Again, I think even with high interest rates, I
Yeah.
think the managers of these companies, they know how to handle, risk events and high inflation environments.
Property, utilities, banking, these are the sectors to watch out for. What's your advice to both novice and sophisticated investors as we enter the new year? Is it now the right time to put your smart money into these sectors?
For me-
ahead of the rise.
These markets don't move in a straight line. Sometimes markets do get ahead of themselves. So we look at prices and price levels to see where we can recommend, particularly novice investors, but also sophisticated investors. You have to be sensitive to where valuations are for markets. Why say this? Because markets have kind of run a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Again, because of the guidance from the Federal Reserve that rates are heading downwards. That tends to help equities. But you don't also want to chase these rallies. You want to be quite disciplined with where you want to come in. For us, we think you should start accumulating slowly and really be very selective with the stocks that you want to invest in.
Right, of course, apart from fixed income, time deposits, treasury bills. I mean, investors, if they want to dabble into the stock market, have to look at the blue chip stocks, right?
Agreed.
The conglomerates.
For sure.
Which will always offer good dividends.
They offer good dividends. They also
Sustained earnings.
They're resilient. They have built-in diversification.
Yeah.
They have exposure in several sectors already as conglomerates. But again, you just, as you said, you need to be quite selective and quite deliberate with your choices because these things don't move in one straight line.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to be patient.
You have to be
Especially
patient
when you're investing in the market.
You do. You have to have a long-term view,
Yeah.
I think. Because again, if you look at the performance of the Philippine stock market this year, you're almost ending the year flat, which is actually, or a bit higher, maybe 1 or 2% higher from the beginning of the year. But really, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, we've not really seen a lot of performance in the stock market. So, hopefully we'll end the year in positive territory. That will continue.
Metrobank has Wealth Insights.
Yeah.
How does this help investors?
No, Wealth Insights is really catered to the Filipino investor, both the novice and the sophisticated.
Is it offered for free?
It's offered for free.
Or is the information, does it have to be paid for? Or do you have to subscribe?
No, it's free. I mean, we put a lot of content in there. It's from the financial markets team of Metrobank where we sit. So we're right in the middle of markets, and global markets are obviously interconnected. So everything happens and everything gets priced in very quickly in markets, and we have to have some advice to kind of navigate these markets. That's what Wealth
So
Insights
Wealth
represents.
Insights has recommendations if they should buy, sell, or hold a particular company in the markets?
We do, but that part where the views are. I mean,
Yeah.
we make it a purpose, an objective to come out with something actionable at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of us telling you that interest rates and inflation are still high if at the end of that we don't really recommend something in action?
And of course, Wealth Insights, Metrobank really need analysts, chief market strategists who really have knowledge about every company, not only the Philippines, but also overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to work in Singapore.
We did.
In multinational companies.
Yeah.
So you're now back. We're now back here in the Philippines.
We're trying to help.
We're trying to help in nation building.
We're trying to help nation building. We want to make sure that the Filipino investor is empowered. We want them to understand what markets are doing, and really just nation build, but also make sure that you're protecting your wealth and your families. That's the objective.
How can Filipino novice and sophisticated investors gain access to wealth insights?
Wealthinsights.ph.
All right.
Just type it out. It's written so that it's not for a sophisticated trader or investor.
Yes.
It really is meant to help the local Filipino investor. It is within the context of somebody sitting in the Philippines looking at the investment world.
And that is
trying to understand.
key, Ruben, no? To be able to attract more Filipino investors.
Yeah.
Enlarge the investor base.
Yeah.
And it is not just for sophisticated investors, but for every Filipino to make an investment and to make their money grow.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. That's the objective. I think that's always at the heart of what we try to do in Metrobank. I mean, we live true to our motto. It's you are in good hands with us.
Ruben Zamora, Metrobank's head for institutional investors, thank you so much for your advice and for joining us on The Final Word. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too, Rico. Thank you for having me.